Hi, it's Scott from Wood Lake again. This week's creature feature, we're looking at goldfish. Now, goldfish make a nice pet at home, but in a natural system, they are a threat to biological diversity. Now, humans pose the biggest threat to biological diversity, and by diversity, I mean numbers of different species of plants and animals. So you might have heard of biodiversity. It is key in keeping our ecological systems running. Without a lot of different types of plants and animals, an ecological system just does not operate correctly and can have lots of problems. So here at Wood Lake, we manage our ecosystem here to be as diverse as possible. So I'm at the marsh today, and I've been doing some scooping with my net. And some of the threats to biological diversity, all of them are caused by humans. So habitat destruction is number one. We use up a lot of space, a lot of land. We take over places for our houses, our farms, and totally change the habitat for animals. And a lot of times when we're done, the animals that originally lived there can no longer live there. Invasive species is number two. And an invasive species is something that people have brought in that really doesn't belong there, and it kind of takes over the place. There are plants that do this, like European buckthorn or purple loosestrife in a marsh. And there are animals that do this too. You've probably heard a lot about spiny water fleas or zebra mussels, or even goldfish. And so there's other things that can harm diversity as well, such as pollution, litter, trash being in the environment, chemical pollution, gas and oil that leaks out of our cars can wash down into lakes, rivers, and marshes. So there's many different forms of pollution that can cause harm. Population. There's just so many humans on the planet using resources and trying to live that our sheer numbers have a big impact on the diversity on the planet. And last but not least, overharvesting. In some of the oceans, you'd never think we could overharvest fish out of the oceans, but we have done that. Humans have such a large appetite for fish that the North Atlantic has been overfished for cod, and that fishery is in serious decline. They've had to move north to go after haddock now, and who knows, maybe we'll deplete that resource as well. So overharvesting of different species of animals, not to be confused with sport hunting. Sport hunting has never caused a depletion of any populations, but overharvesting of resources that could even be tree resources. If we overharvest too much of the forest for paper and wood products, we can seriously deplete the diversity of our forests. So here at the marsh, we had really great diversity. In my bucket here, I've taken just a few scoops, and I want to show you some of the diversity of life. So we've got several different plant species, including the duckweed floating on the top. But I want you really to notice the really tiny things. So water beetles, water boatmen. Here is a baby water scorpion. Here's a damselfly nymph right there. That turns into those little blue damselflies that look kind of like a dragonfly, but they're skinnier. We've got a snail here, a spiral snail. We've actually got a pouch snail over here. They look different. We also have orb snails in the marsh. I didn't catch one of those. Here is one of the largest insects in the marsh. It's called a giant water bug. And these are a predator for all the other species, including fish. And I do have a little baby fish in here somewhere, a little minnow. It's hiding right now. But you can see there's quite a bit of life in here. Look at this water scorpion. This is a big one right here. I'll put him on my hand. So you've probably seen a walking stick, maybe on a bush or something in your neighborhood. And this is the aquatic version of the terrestrial walking stick. Its tail, even though it's called a scorpion, cannot sting. That's actually a breathing tube. So it can hang under the water with just the breathing tube sticking out, catch animals with its front legs, and devour them. So it's another predator of small insects and even fish. That's the water scorpion. So giant water bugs, water scorpions, some of the bigger creatures, a lot of smaller creatures. Here's a water strider, otherwise known as a pond skater. You can see if you look really close, a lot of super tiny little specks swimming around in here, but not as many as I should see. This looks like fairly good diversity, but before 2014, I would get more diversity than this in one scoop of my net. This took me probably, oh, there's the little fish now swimming around right there. Got a little baby minnow right there. A minnow fry. He's hiding under the plants. So there it is. Oh, and maybe though a giant water bug would like to eat it. So I used to catch with one scoop much more diversity than this. And this took me, probably 10 scoops to get this much life. And one of the reasons for that lowering of diversity is one of our fish species. In 2014, somebody let goldfish go into our system because Richfield Lake is loaded with them, and now Wood Lake is loaded with goldfish. It's an infestation, actually. So once in the wild, those little goldfish grow really large. You can see this one, and this one lives in our aquarium, but they can get much larger than this. I've seen goldfish out here that are 12 inches long, and some of them do get eaten by egrets and herons and cormorants, but maybe a few snapping turtles. But they're very fast, they're very efficient, and you won't notice as many of the orange ones anymore because nature selects. You've heard of natural selection. So goldfish are actually crucian carp, which originated in Scandinavia and then were passed down through Russia to China, where they were bred to be these beautiful colors. And so you can go to the pet store and buy these, and they make really good pets because they're hard to kill. They can live in almost zero, well, they have lived here in zero oxygen, and they're kind of beautiful to keep. But always keep them as pets. They do not belong in an outdoor ecosystem. And what happens over the 6 years that they've been here at Wood Lake, we no longer see very many of the gold ones. They are reverting back to their natural coloration, which is this brown color. This is the natural color of a crucian carp, which is much more camouflaged. And so what's happened in just 6 generations, because they get preyed upon, the orange ones get eaten more often than the bronze colored ones or brown ones, that they're now all reverting back to the brown color. They no longer turn orange, or they get selected out of the population by predators. So now we have millions of these goldfish living in our marsh, and we are actively trying to manage them. We've been getting some grants and working with Peter Sorensen from the University of Minnesota, who started as a carp researcher, and now he's also moving into goldfish research. And we're hoping to work with him to try to manage the goldfish here, because what they do, they are a very aggressive feeder, and they eat everything. They eat plants, they eat all these tiny bugs that we have in the water here. So they may not be able to eat the giant water bug or the water scorpion, but they eat the smaller insects that all the bigger animals depend on for food. So if you've noticed, gosh, there aren't as many baby ducks at Wood Lake this year, or maybe baby geese. It's because we do have fewer ducks and geese nesting here. We've probably got fewer turtles than we used to have, because all the baby animals, including baby insects like these, they need to eat those tiny, tiny insects. And because the goldfish have been gobbling up all those tiny, tiny invertebrates, there's not as much food available. So they are destroying the biological diversity of our marsh. If we didn't manage them at all, they'd completely take over, and there'd be little left in this marsh, and the water quality would be degraded as they root up the bottom looking for more food, releasing nitrogen and nutrients, phosphorus from the soils, and that creates an algae-driven system, which we don't like. It's just like pea soup algae. The goldfish can withstand that, but we'd lose a lot of the other wildlife that we have at Wood Lake. So it's really important to keep your goldfish in your goldfish tank. If you want to get rid of your goldfish, you're tired of taking care of them, several things you can do. Give them to a friend for their birthday. They might love having a goldfish of their own. Or if you don't have a friend like that, you can take them back to any pet store. They will take them back, no questions asked. They're happy to take goldfish back You don't have to release them to the wild. And please don't flush them down your toilet. It's really hard on our wastewater treatment systems. So if your goldfish dies, plant it in the garden. Give it a nice burial in the backyard in your garden. It makes plants grow wonderfully. So those are some of the things you can do. Enjoy goldfish. They are beautiful and wonderful creatures, but they do not belong out in our wild aquatic systems. Thank you for listening today to our creature feature, and we'll see you next time. So one of the ways we survey the different fish of the marsh is using a cast net. A cast net is a net that opens up, throws like a frisbee sort of, and then it has these weights on the bottom of the net that go down, and it's got what's called a horn. And when I pull on it, the weights pull up and can catch all of the fish in the net part, if it goes well. We have so many plants in the marsh, sometimes they impede the weights from actually closing on the fish properly, and the fish can swim out. But I'm going to attempt to get a good cast here and see what might be lurking in the water right in front of us there. So to cast one of these, there's different ways you can do it, but I like to just take about half of the net at the bottom, make a loop over your hand, and then where you see the higher versus the lower part of the net, pick that midpoint, hold it in your teeth, and it just makes the net open up really nice. So then I throw it like a frisbee and just throw it out there. Let it sink just a little. And when I pull it in, oh, I got a stick. That's going to mess it up. If you catch a stick, I didn't see that big stick in there, and that will have messed up because it totally wrecked the way that sometimes you can't see those sticks. So now I've got to try this again. Let's see if I can. Oh man, I caught more than one stick. But the cast net is usually used by serious anglers for catching bait fish, or it can be used by biologists for surveying fish populations, and the smallest fish it catches is minnows, and you can catch some fairly large fish with it as well. But then you have to shake the net out, get all the debris out of it that you can. Give this one more try. Notice the end of the line has a loop on it. I put that over my wrist so I don't lose the net. Try this one more time. Take about half the weights, wrap them over your hand, find that midpoint. Much better that time. And there weren't any fish below it to be caught. Probably scared the fish away with that first cast. So they scattered and there really weren't any fish at the surface. So the best way to use one of these is to sight the fish. You can see them feeding near the surface, and then kind of sneak over by the edge and cast it out over them, and then you do catch some fish. But today, not much luck, at least not in this spot.
Hi everyone, Naturalist Rachel here at Wood Lake Nature Center. To go with our theme this week of the power of the sun and goldfish, today I'm going to be reading The Sunset Switch by Kathleen Kudlinski. Slowly the sun slips from the sky. Day animals grow sleepy. Night animals start to stir and wake. Come and watch them trade places. The sunset switch is beginning. Do you guys know what the term is for day animals or night animals? There's a fun scientific term for that. Settle down, sleepy swallow. sunset has come. You race the mosquitoes through the sky all day. Tuck your head beneath your wing, close your eyes, and sleep. Open your eyes, little bat. The sun is gone. It's your turn to chase mosquitoes. Unwrap your wings, yawn, and stretch. Wake up, little bat. Good night, goshawk. Your daytime turn is over. You search the meadows for mice all day, fluff your fine feathers, and sleep. Rise and shine, Screech Owl. The moon is drifting up in the tree. Flap your silent wings and go about your mouse search. Sweet dreams, groggy gray squirrel. You hunted nuts and seeds all day, scampering through the treetops. Cuddle up with your tail now and sleep. Wake up, flying squirrel! Tucked in your secret space, night has come. It's your turn to go gliding through the trees, hunting seeds and nuts. Jump out of bed, flying squirrel. We do actually have flying squirrels here in Minnesota. A lot of people confuse them with sugar gliders, which are actually native to Australia. But we got flying squirrels. Shut your droopy eyes, snowy egret. You had your turn all day, stalking the swamp for fish and frogs. Stomach full now? You should snooze. Heads up, night heron. It's your breakfast time. Swamp has more tasty swimmers ready for stalking. Shake a leg, hungry heron. Nighty-night, weary moth. You sipped sweet nectar all day. Tongue coiled, wings folded. You should be sleeping. Up and at 'em, lazy moth. Can't you smell the flowers? Flutter to their scents and sip nectar through the night. Get moving, moth. Snuggle in, smooth green snake. All day long you slithered and snapped after beetles and bugs. Curl up now and underneath your rock. Snap to, red salamander. It's time to creep and crawl and catch your insects. Ooh, sorry, friends. Catch your insect meals. Hurry now, lazy bones, or you'll miss your turn. It's a pretty cool spotted salamander. Slowly the sun creeps back into the sky. Night animals are sleepy. Day animals start to stir and wake. It's time to trade places again. The sunrise switch is about to begin. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's story, and I hope you guys can see some of the different animals that we even talked about here in our story, or what we talked about this week. Have a great adventure, everybody. See you around at Wood Lake.